Hey, and what is going on, everybody? It is Zero here, back with some more Diablo action. And today, we're gonna do a first revisited, really. I think we've covered other builds more than once before, and that was just transitioning between before legendary gems and after, basically. But today we're gonna revisit the Hulk Pup build, and I'm also gonna be revisiting some other builds with. Now that I've more optimized some of my gear for some of these builds. But we're going to start with the Hulk Pup because in the last week or so I got a few very nice pieces that really substantially made my build much more powerful. So let us get into it, okay guys? So let's look at the skills first, shall we? This is all the same as last time we covered the Hulk Pup. We have Plague of Toads, Addling Toads. Love the Addling Toads. Confuses pretty much everything on screen and deals poison damage. It's fantastic. Piranhas, Frozen Piranhas. I use Frozen because triggers Bane of the Trapped. Still gives you that 15% increased damage against enemies that are under its effects. And it only has an 8-second cooldown, so it's fantastic. Gargantuan, Big Stinker. Remember, you do not need to run the Big Stinker if you don't want to. It's just my personal preference. I don't really like managing my Gargantuan. I don't want to have to pull out the Gargantuan all the time whenever I need it, right? So obviously, the Wrathful Protector is much stronger than the Big Stinker. But, you know, the Big Stinker goes a long way in making sure that everything in the area is poisoned because he has a poison cloud around him and things get poisoned all around him and he deals poison damage. So everything is always getting poisoned, and you want everything poisoned in this build. You want everything poisoned. Summon Zombie Dogs, Rabid Dogs, obvious reason. This is our Hulk Pup. He's going to be dealing massive amounts of damage, just massive amounts of damage. Big Bad Voodoo, Slam Dance goes without saying. Pretty much every single Witch Doctor build uses this now. Spirit Walk, with your preference, of course. You'll see in a minute when we talk about the gear that my toughness is a little bit on the low side now. So I've decided to go with Healing Journey this time around. So I guess it's not the same as last time. Passives, Fetish Sycophants, obviously. I don't think it really needs much explanation as to why we're using that. Pierce the Veil, straight up damage increase. We're not using a lot of mana, so the extra mana cost doesn't really matter. Midnight Feast and Zombie Handler are going to boost the hell out of your Garg and your dog especially. Okay, guys? If you have a really nice Hellfire Amulet, with any of these on there, you could, you could also throw in, say, Jungle Fortitude for more survivability. Gruesome Feast, which will give you a huge damage buff when you're picking up health globes, or you could even go Bad Medicine, which will reduce the amount of damage that all the enemies on screen are doing because you're going to have pretty much everything in your view on screen poisoned. So those are some 3 very good options if you do have a Hellfire Amulet with one of these 4 passives on it. Okay, guys? Now let's get into the gear, okay? So right now, we're sitting at an effective DPS unbuffed of 2.2 million, which is, I think, significantly more than it was last time. Okay, but once we get all our buffs active, things are going to just get a little bit ridiculous with this effective number, okay, guys? Well, let's talk about the gear real quick first, okay? So we're running the exact same Oghild's pieces that I was last time. Invite, armor, dog damage on the shoulders, Invite dog damage on the chest, poison skills, Invite crit chance on the bracers. Ideally, it would be great to have some life after kill on the chest piece or even the shoulders. So if you can get that, go for it, right? Life after kill is going to keep your health up very good in this build, especially with how fast you're killing trash, okay? Next, let's talk about the helmet. I finally got a helmet that was better than my old Mask of Jerem. So you want to go for int, vitality, crit chance, and obviously you want a high percentage of extra pet damage on there, guys, okay? I am running this amulet. This is my new amulet. It's very strong indeed. I'm running a Haunt of Vaxo, poison skills, crit damage, crit chance. If you're not too keen on running with lower toughness like I am in this current state of the build, you could easily throw vitality on there instead, or you might even have an amulet that has infight, crit chance, crit damage, or anything along those lines. Whatever you prefer to get on there. Realistically, what you're going for is around 50% crit chance and 450 crit damage, as well as 1.8 is where I would suggest you set the low end for your attacks per second, guys. So if you can hit those benchmarks without the crit damage, crit chance on here, you could easily throw in some vitality or some intelligence on your amulet, right? Okay, next up, Tasker and Theo. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to have a trifecta Tasker and Theo like I do. I got very, very lucky with this roll on here. So, if you can get them, you want a trifecta with intelligence, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage. Another new piece to the build is a witching hour. I finally found a witching hour. I actually found two in like 1 day or 2 days. It was crazy. I chose to go with vitality on here. I rolled off the intelligence just because I do have a little bit of a lower toughness, so I threw in some more vitality on here. But if your toughness is okay, go int attack speed, preferably vitality over armor, and of course the crit hit damage. Right? We are going with the Swampland Waders, obviously. More poison skills. We're going to stack that poison damage, which is going to boost the hell out of your effective DPS. Okay? Poison skills, intelligence, vitality, and if you are really lucky, you can get some life after kill on the secondary here, guys. Okay, that's going to help you a lot. Weapon, Renho Flare. This is my newest Renho. I keep getting these like crazy. Still no SMK. I can't even believe it, man. I'm like 563 Paragon levels, no sign of an SMK. Blizzard, come on, baby. I decided to go again with more damage-centric on this piece. I rolled off the vitality for damage percent, got intelligence, attack speed, and again, life after kill. Got really lucky on that there, guys. Okay, so just get the best Renho you can possibly get. But if you can get stats like this on there, it's really going to boost your damage. I am running with Ice Climbers. This is going to prevent you from being frozen. It's going to prevent stuff like Jailer. Anything that immobilizes you, it's going to prevent, okay, guys? Intelligence, vitality, armor. It's going to reduce damage against cold attacks, and then, of course, the movement speed on there. And we have the Eucoprian Serpent, which is a must for the build. Okay, this is such a valuable piece. Intelligence, vitality, crit chance, and dog damage is going to be your ideal roll on this. Of course, you might have to go through a number of Eucoprian Serpents before you can get a roll like this. I think this is like my 9th or 10th Eucoprian before I got something like this. And the big draw here is that your dog is going to take a big chunk of your damage, anywhere from 25 to 30%. Okay, guys? Rings. We obviously have to run with the Tall Man's Finger. Basically, I mean, you know what you need here. Go for the best roll you can get on here. You want to try and hit, like I said before, 1.8 attacks per second, 50 crit hit chance, 450 crit hit damage are the low end if you want really high damage out of this build. Okay, so just go for the stats that you need to add up to those numbers, pretty much on everything, but especially when it comes to the rings. You kind of got to be a little choosy on your rings because you got to get a socket on there, right? And every now and again, rings still roll without a socket. And then, like I said, like this isn't a spectacular ring or anything. It's just a band of untold secrets. But, you know, I got intelligence, vitality, crit damage, crit chance out of this ring. So it's a valuable piece of equipment for my build. Okay, you can get rings that don't have special affixes. You can get stats like this on them, and then I think there's even a couple that do have a special affix that you can get these kind of stats on. Okay, and that's the gear, guys. Okay, now let's talk about what I mean about like crazy effective DPS. Okay, so right now we're sitting at 2.2 million effective DPS. Now that doesn't take into account the buff that you get from the Bane of the Trapped. It doesn't take into account the buff you get from the Gem of Infectious Toxin, and it doesn't take into account the Bane of the Powerful. So when Bane of the Powerful procs, if you look in your stats, your effective DPS will jump up, right? But it'll never jump up. It'll never take these two into account. So you have to keep that in mind, right? So at 25, you want all these gems at rank 25 at least, okay, guys? So at rank 25, the Bane of the Trapped is going to give you 22.5% more damage. Increased damage against enemies under the effects of control impairing effects, 22.5%. So that's a lot more damage, okay? And you come over to the Gem of Infectious Toxin, poison all enemies hit for blah, 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 blah. Okay, all enemies you poison take 10% increased damage from all sources. So that's another 10%. So we got 22.5, 10%. That is what? 32.5% more damage, okay? Come over here, and we're going to gain another 20% every time we kill an elite for 55 seconds. And of course, you can make that duration last longer if you level it up past rank 25. Okay? And then, if you take into account your Slam Dance, I mean, it's just ridiculous. So what are we going to do here? We're going to go and we're going to get us an elite pack, and we're going to look at exactly how high your effective DPS can climb with this build. Oh yeah, I love it when they just drop right on your head. Oh baby. I hate these guys, they drive me bananas. Alright, here we go. This is what we want. Let's get ourselves an elite. And we'll kill this elite without using Slam Dance. It's almost down. There he goes. Okay, now let's go over here. We still have our Bane of the Powerful active. Let us drop a Slam Dance. And let's take a look at our effective DPS. 3.7 million effective DPS right now, with the Bane of the Powerful and our Slam Dance down. This still doesn't take into account the extra 32.5% coming off these two rings when they're active, okay? Which means, effectively, let's just be generous or ungenerous and say 4 million. 4 million will be your effective DPS if you can get stats similar to what I have with your gear, okay? 4 million effective DPS. Your dog is going to be hitting like a fucking truck. A Mack truck. A big, mean, green Hulk pup Mack truck. It is ridiculous. This guy, I've seen this guy hit for like 300, 400 million on crits. It's ridiculous. He just rips shit to shreds, boys. So that's the build. That is the Hulk Pup. I don't see it getting much better than this, for me anyway. I'm still looking for that SMK, baby, and it's just not dropping. It ain't happening, and I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry at Blizzard because I want this goddamn shit, okay? Last but not least, let's take a quick look at the Paragon points, guys. I think you guys know what to do with this, but we'll go over it anyway. Core, you're going to drop as much into movement speed as you need to hit that 25 cap. And then you're going to drop everything else into intelligence. And then when it comes to the offense, you're going to obviously, what you want to do is you want to put your points into attack speed, crit chance, crit damage, and look at what you have with your gear and then drop them into those sections accordingly to get to those low-end marks, all right? In defense, you're going to go armor, all res first, and then life. And then in utility, you're obviously going to go life on hit first. Always go life on hit first. It'll give you a little bit more survivability. Area damage is going to increase the radius of your Adling Toad's explosions. So go area damage next, and then even though you don't need it, resource cost reduction. You can probably forget about this altogether if you want to and drop it into gold find if you're hurting for gold, but I don't think there's any reason to go gold find ever unless you're gold farming. Okay, guys? So that is it, man. That is, I think, as good as my Hulk Pup build is ever going to get. But, you know, I could be wrong. But we won't be covering it again. I just thought, you know, since I finally found a few pieces that I was really, really needing, that I would go over it one more time and show you just how strong this build can be. You'll see a bunch of footage on the side here obviously, showing it in greater rifts, in rifts and whatnot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys are having fun with Diablo. I hope your Hulk PUP builds are coming along nicely. And as soon as I find an SMK, you'll probably see like another 3 videos on 3 different builds using the SMK. I am dying to get one, and everybody I know is getting them but me, man. My buddy just got one 2 days ago. It dropped for his freaking Crusader. What? What? Ugh. Goddamn. Later, guys.